Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jenny Briggle from TechServe Alliance. Welcome to today's session of the 2016 Certification Webinar Series, The Incredible Power of Testimonials. There will be a question and answer session after the presentation, so feel free to write in any questions you would like to have answered in the question box on the right side of your screen. Also, we are recording today's presentation, and it will be available to TechServe members on the e-learning center of the website. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, Barb Bruno, President of Good as Gold Training. Barb?
Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate the introduction, and it's always an honor for me to present to the TSA members, and so I'm thrilled that all of you have joined us today, and obviously it's a very competitive marketplace, and so testimonials are just one way to differentiate, and they truly are powerful when used constructively. So our program obviously is the incredible power of testimonials. Referred business is the best business because of the inferred level of trust. And so today what we're going to talk about is how do you effectively, get client testimonials, how do you effectively use and get candidate testimonials, and then the importance of your touch program, because most of us drop the ball. After we've made a placement or a fill, it's almost like, phew, we're done. That deal's filled. Let's go on to the next deal. And more importantly, we've got to look at the lifetime value of our contractors, our candidates, and our clients, and make sure that we have a touch program in place so these people come back to us, repeatedly. So let's talk about effective client testimonials. I want you to ask yourself the following questions. Do you request testimonials from your clients? And do you share testimonials with your prospects? A slick 5-color brochure is not half as effective as solid testimonials from other clients who are hiring IT or engineering contractors or full-time employees from you. Imagine the benefits of requesting and sharing testimonials from every client you've done business with. And just imagine that for a moment, that you have a written testimonial from every single client you've ever placed someone with. Whoever, if they have hired full-time, they've hired contractors, but you've got a testimonial. You have to make asking for testimonials an important part of your sales process, starting immediately. I mean, we have massive books of testimonials from clients, and what we do is we try to get a client that's very similar to one of our prospects when we're trying to sell our services to somebody else. Everybody wants what everybody else wants, and testimonials is somebody else telling you, that you're great. It's much easier for them to do it than to, have you tell people you're great. And obviously the best testimonials are from clients who are competitors or very similar to the prospects you're attempting to land as clients. If you tell somebody that I'm currently working with your competitors, the reason I'd like to represent your firm is, and give them some solid reasons, when they know you're helping their competitors find top talent, that makes you more desirable, because there's two realities in selling. People like to buy on the approval of others, which is why testimonials are so impactful, and everybody else wants what everybody else wants. So, if they see other people are using you and other people are hiring talent from you, they're more inclined to want to utilize your services. Now let's go on the other side of our sale, which is the candidate side. What are effective candidate testimonials? The most powerful marketing tool you can utilize are testimonials from other satisfied candidates you've represented. It's one thing for you to share your credentials and your personal branding. It's much more effective if someone you represented talks positively about you. And when I'm talking about personal branding, whether it's a client or a candidate, you have to know why I should use you. I do a tremendous amount of training for hiring authorities and talent acquisition professionals. And it's interesting because the biggest complaint I get from them is that, we all say we're different, and when they ask us how we're different, we all say the same things. You knowing your brand, what is your track record? What can you say that nobody else can say? And what testimonials can you give that nobody else has? Because those are truly differentiators. If they say, why should I use you, as opposed to somebody else, it's very easy to say, I would be more than glad to share testimonials that I have from people just like you. I started out as a backup. I ended up being their top resource for talent. I'd love to send you testimonials from candidates I've placed, in opportunities, and I've helped them hit not only their short-term but their long-term goals. I can put them in various contracts, leading them to where they want to be in 5 or 10 years. I'd love to be your lifetime career agent. You've got to realize the lifetime value. It's sad that most people that place IT and engineering place their contractor out there, and then the next time they hear from you is 3 months before their contract is over, and they've already got something lined up. And the other thing you have to realize, too, is that people are not necessarily working out the duration of their contract anymore. They have somebody entice them off, which, of course, is a nightmare right now, for everybody in our profession. They have to understand that you are the person they should work with, that other people have said you are the person in what you do. IT and engineering candidates are in demand, and they know it, and the need for their talent will continue to escalate. And as a result, they're called by numerous recruiters, not only you, and everybody is trying to entice them. Your testimonials will help them understand why they should work with you as opposed to anybody else. And again, somebody else saying that you're great is so much more impactful than you telling people you're great. You're going to share your brand, you're going to share things with them, but testimonials just are the most powerful tool you can use. Asking for testimonials from candidates you place must be part of your recruiting process. Imagine the impact if you had a testimonial letter from every individual you placed on a contract or direct position for your entire career. If any of you still have candidates coming in your offices, it's a very smart move to have testimonial letters, posted in your waiting room. Have a book that they can look at when they're waiting in the reception area, testimonials from clients and candidates. You want to include 3 testimonials on every single thing you send out. That is someone else telling your prospects you provide results. There should be testimonials under your signature line. If you're sending an email to a client, it's client testimonials. If you're sending an email to candidates, there's candidate testimonials. We put so much information under our signature line on the email, and the most important thing you could put on there, many people don't, and that's other people telling people you're great. When you watch TV, you see all these, famous people giving testimonials. There's one that talks about the state of California, and part of that commercial is you're just an average Joe, and it's Joe Namath. So it's interesting how people use famous people to promote products all the time. You've got to use people that you've placed in jobs to help promote you. Now let's focus on the importance of a touch program, because in addition to getting testimonials, this is one of the areas that you really want to think about when you place somebody in a job. What type of touch program do you have? With both the clients and the candidates. Most recruiters and account executives really drop the ball when it comes to developing an effective follow-up and touch program. A touch program is an important aspect of closing a sale and establishing lifetime relationships with both IT and candidates and clients, because many recruiters and account executives neglect it, or they just don't have an established touch plan before, during, and after a placement or fill are made. So your touch program has to be, from the very first time you're talking to these people throughout the process, and then once you place them in a job. Because trust me, if you place somebody out on an opportunity and they don't hear from you, they might get a paycheck every week from you. You might have your account executives, going by and saying hi to them. But if they haven't heard from you, the recruiter who placed them out on contract, what they feel like is that they're making money for every hour that they're working. And so as far as they're concerned, in their mind, they're thinking, well, who am I going to make money for next time? And if you haven't nurtured them, if you haven't shown them they're important, if they just feel like they're a paycheck to you, they're not going to come back when the contract is over. They will go with one of your competitors. When you're following up, you want to have a specific reason for contacting candidates or clients that provides another step toward forward in your placement or fill process. So with each contact, you want to stress the benefits they're going to enjoy as a result of working with you. Remember, they don't care about us. They care about themselves. Calling or emailing just to check in does not move a process forward. Every conversation, you've got to realize that candidates and clients are concerned about themselves. What they want to know is, what's in it for me if I talk to you? What's in it for me if I return your call? What's in it for me if I utilize your services? They're not going to say that to you, but that's really what people want to know. Show me what's in it for me. Don't make the WWD calls. This is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do. During conversations with your candidates or consultants, you're attempting to determine what must be there for them to accept a new opportunity. What exists at their current job that would motivate them to leave, and why have they made changes in the past? Because these are, people are really creatures of habit, and these are really the things you have to find out. You've got to understand what's going to motivate them to move. Don't assume for a second that what they're doing or what they've done is what they want to do next. Most contractors want to accept a contract that's going to enhance their resume. They want to have a new skill there. So the resume is a picture of their past and their present. It is not a picture of their future. So you have to understand what must be there right now for them to accept a new opportunity. When you're discussing with clients, you're attempting to determine what solutions you can provide for them. Sometimes we sell too soon. Those of you that are account executives, you can't sell until you've identified problems. What is a talent most difficult for them to identify? What is their greatest challenge or issue they're facing? You want to put yourself up as a workforce workplace expert. You've got to differentiate. You've got to come across more knowledgeable. You've got to see the world through their eyes. You've got to have that outside-in approach. See your services through the eyes of the people you serve. It's not our job to agree or disagree with clients or candidates. What our job is to determine what I've just listed, so that they will view you as the person who can solve their problems or find them their next opportunity. If you're going to spend your valuable time on candidates and clients, it's important that you target the caliber of person you should represent. You don't want to waste your time attracting and forming relationships and spending time following up and touching individuals who will not impact your income. I have people call, they refer to people as clients all the time, and I'll say, well, how much money have you made off that client? Well, they haven't hired from us in a couple years. That's not a client. A client is somebody who impacts your income. 95% of the people that come to you, you're not going to place. You've got to provide them with resources and focus on the 5% you're going to place. And recruiting has been, is, always will be relationship building. And you've got to form those relationships with the right candidates and clients. I always describe people in our profession as social workers who like money. I really do think that's who we are. We're basically good people. When you go to a TSA conference, you attend an event, when there's people from the staffing and recruiting profession, I think the majority of people in our profession are just good people who really want to make a difference. We really do care about people. We really do want to have an impact on their life. But, you've got to be very careful that you're putting your attention and your time toward those clients and candidates that really will impact your income. Because there's a lot of people trying to call in business that you should never write. And there's many candidates that you cannot place. The candidates that need us the most, we usually can do nothing for. And that's why I provide them with resources and focus on that 5% that you're going to place in jobs. You've got to touch your candidates and clients on a regular basis. It's important that you keep your name in front of them. You want to touch your databases at least bi-monthly, and much of this follow-up system can be, just accomplished by sending articles of interest using automated systems. When you're sending emails, you've got to be careful that emails don't end up in spam, and it's so important that the subject line compels people to open it. If somebody says, that, you want it to be something like, how do you negotiate the best salary? How do you advance your career? What are the 5 top trends in IT or engineering today? Somebody's going to open those, because of the subject line of the article, and then you put a listing of all the opportunities that you're currently representing. And I want you all to remember, too, to choose fun over boring or routine. Never forget that people like to work with people they enjoy. If they like you, this will result in a higher level of success for you. They will send people to you. They will utilize your services. Sometimes we're so busy or so stressed out or so, almost like a hamster on a cage, trying to find the talent that your clients want to hire, that you forget to be enjoyable. You've got to show your personality. You've got to focus your touch process on the priorities of other people, your clients and your candidates. Show your personality. Utilize unique mailing containers or paper, when you're sending things to people. Tie your communications to current events. I was doing a lot around the Sweet 16, the tournament, just because there were so many surprises, and at one point we sent out something to all of our clients, don't be blindsided by surprises. Don't have people that you're really backing and thinking of moving forward with, be out, and now you have no backups. And we were relating it to how so many brackets were destroyed after the second round, and the last game, I really, we did things about, that one shot makes all the difference in the world. You miss every opportunity you don't take, or you're missing opportunities to find the best talent. because, if you're not a basketball fan, in that last game, North Carolina thought they had tied the game. They were going in overtime. In fact, I was sitting there going, oh, God, it's late. I want to go to bed, but I've got to watch this game. And I almost walked out of the room, and I thought, no, there's a few seconds left. I'm going to stay here because I've learned that in basketball. And lo and behold, another shot was made, and North Carolina lost. So, how do you make fun out of that? Many of my clients find it funny that I just love sports. And I compare what we do a lot to sports, because teams are only great if they've got the right people, not only playing in the game, but on the bench, which is what our clients have to do. You've got to represent those people that are going to play, but you also have to have good backups on the bench, for projects and things that your clients are facing. What's going on in your community? I was in Houston, Texas, speaking 2 weeks before the Final Four were going to be there, and I asked all the owners, what are you doing? How are you playing this up to your clients and candidates? And Houston, Texas right now is getting clobbered by oil and gas, but they weren't using a current event to kind of put a little humor in it. You've got to use all means of communication, and you've got to stand out. I also speak at technology conferences, and it's interesting because I spoke at a conference 3 or 4 months ago where, the audience was filled with developers and programmers and, many different people in the IT arena, and I was asking them about their relationship with recruiters. And they just said, you guys aren't fun, and you're stalking, and you don't understand what we're doing, and you just call with a job not knowing anything we want to do. And quite frankly, we don't take the calls. We have a few people that we know that really understand what we do, and we kind of stick with the same recruiter once we find a good one. Wouldn't you love to be that person? A Strong Touch program is going to help you do that. So you've got to keep in touch with people. You don't want them to feel like a paycheck to you. Your touch process is critical. You have got to reach out to candidates after an offer has been accepted, after they've handed in notice, after you've filled the contract or placed them in a job, because you don't want no starts, fall-offs, offer turndowns. You're judged not only on your ability to attract talent, but also to place individuals who are retained. Your established touch program is going to result in more successful fills and placements. And I've said this before in my training, and this is part of the certification program training as well. The candidates and clients want 3 questions answered. And by the way, this is what your kids want answered, your friends, your family, your partners, your spouses. People want to know 3 things that are interacting with you. They want to know if they can trust you, if you care about them, and are you committed to provide results? Are you going to do what you're telling them you're going to do? Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind when you're asking for testimonials. Keep this in mind when you're sharing testimonials. Keep this in mind in your touch program. Because if they can go yes, 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 this is really trust, care, do. It comes down to 3 words. Can they, trust, care, do. When people realize that you do all 3, it will change your life as a recruiter or account executive. You've got to communicate with candidates and clients consistently after they've accepted an opportunity, because then they can answer those 3 questions yes. They don't just feel like they made you money and then you disappeared. You don't want to do that. Your touch and follow-up process has to be consistent and tracked, and you've got to negotiate on their behalf if there ever are problems. Consider mailing cards that celebrate special occasions. You've got the birth date of every contractor you have out there. Do you have their wedding anniversary date? Do you send Labor Day cards on Labor Day rather than sending holiday cards? Do you do things that are different? Do you send them thank you notes after they've been working for you for 90 days? Thank you for representing us. You're doing a great job. Just wanted to keep in touch. It's amazing how impactful cards are right now because people aren't sending them. I'm a card sender. I send a lot of cards, and I get such responses. And yet, I was on a flight recently on Southwest Airlines flying to a conference, and I had a woman next to me that was just all ticked off because I was writing out thank you notes. And she said, haven't you heard of e-cards? And I said, I have. And she said, then why are you taking the time to do that? That just seems like such a waste of time. I said, well, we're in this plane 3 hours. Writing thank you notes is just something I do when I fly. And she goes, well, I think it's ridiculous. And I thought it was funny. And so I finally said to her, when is the last time you got a card? Well, I don't get cards. And I go, probably because you don't send them. And wouldn't it be nice just to, get to work one day or get home one day and have somebody send you a beautiful card? Well, I never thought about it that way. It's amazing how it's working in our profession right now. Something as simple as a birthday card, not an e-card, a card you mail to them. What about an anniversary? A lot of your contractors are out there more than a year. Do you send them a 1-year anniversary on their anniversary date with your client? You got to start doing these things because they differentiate you and they really make a difference with the people that you're representing. When you invest your valuable time in your follow-up process, what you're going to do is develop deep relationships. with both your candidates and clients. And see, I really do think that it's important that these people love us. I think you've got to elevate. You can't be a vendor or even a trusted advisor to your clients. You got to become their friends, because when you're their friend, they're less likely to stop using you. And if they go someplace else, they're going to take you with them. On the candidate side, they really have to see you as a lifetime career agent. I can put you out on contracts that eventually will help you hit not only your short-term and mid-term, but your long-term goals. Tell me where you're trying to go. I'm going to help you get there. That's much different than let me put you out on one contract and then call them 90 days before the contract is over, hoping they're going to let you represent them. You've got to realize the lifetime value of your candidates and clients, and you've got to realize the impact of testimonials, of you being that nice person to deal with, and a touch program, because it all plays together. It all plays together. Now, this is just a sampling of the training on these topics that we have actually in the study guides for the certification program. I think most of you know it's broken down into, the account executive as well as the recruiter. There's two different programs. And it's interesting because I talk about testimonials, a lot. And what I love is the amount of testimonials we're getting from our certification program. So many people that are studying the certification program right now were referred by others who went through the program because they got the competitive edge. They loved the training. They loved that it actually, made them a better person, gave them more knowledge. And knowledge is powerful when you implement it, And so I love that we are getting so many testimonials as a result of the certification program. And again, there is no better business than referred business. If you want to enhance your referred business, if you've been in this business longer than 18 months, 50% of your candidates should be coming from referrals, and 50% of your new clients should be coming as a result of referrals. And it's testimonials, and it's the touch program, and it's how you differentiate yourself that's going to end up giving you those referrals. So what we're talking about today is the power of testimonials, but bottom line, it's going to enhance. It's going to, increase referrals and just make you more successful at what you're doing. There are a couple things I do want to mention at the end of the training before I open the program for your questions. The TSA conference is November 3rd through 5th. And I have to tell you, I speak at roughly 20, 25 conferences a year, and TSA has always been my favorite. And I love what they're doing now. I know that recently they reached out, and by April 15th, you can all remember that date because it's tax day, they're looking for your suggestions and your ideas. And so they want to know what speakers you want to hear. They want to know what topics you want to hear. And TSA attracts more speakers than just about any other conference there is, especially in our profession. They absolutely attract more speakers and more talent than any conference in our profession. But if you've got an idea for a topic, you've got an idea for a speaker that you enjoy, make sure you get them to the TSA conference. You can send your suggestions to techserveconference.org. So if any of you have any suggestions for speakers or topics that you want to hear, this fall at the TSA conference, please send those to techserveconference.org, and then circle your calendars now. It's November 3rd through 5th. That is when, the conference is actually going to be held. And so get that date on your conference. What I want to do now is I want to open the lines for any questions that you may have. You can ask me questions one of two ways. When you called in, we gave you a telephone number, an access code, and a PIN number. If you put all three numbers in, you can go to the attendee list on the right-hand side and just click on the attendee list, and you'll see your name. And then what you do is you can raise your hand, and then you can, there's that little yellow hand, click on that yellow hand, and then, we can unmute your lines and you can talk to me one-on-one, or you can go down below and you've got the word questions, and if you hit that plus sign, it opens a dialog box, where you can type in your question. Now, I will always, use your first name when I'm answering a question. If you don't want me to use your name, then just, put confidential, anonymous, something like that, so that, I don't use your first name when I'm answering questions. Okay, the first question is from Benjamin, and it's, hello, can you name those three again? Can I name those three again? I think what you're asking me, the last thing I mentioned that was in a group of three was what are the three things people want to know in any relationship, your clients and candidates especially. The first one is, can I trust you? The second one is, do you really care about me? See, if you place somebody and you never, I have some recruiters that say, I don't want to call because I don't want to know. Yes, you do. Yes, you do want to know if something's going on. So second is, do you really care about me? And three, are you committed to provide results? Are you a person of your word? If you say something, are you going to do it? So those are the three things people want to know. Let's see. Exactly, thank you. Oh, good. So I got the right thing, Benjamin. That's awesome. Jenny, the questions, because you're in as the organizer, I can't get to the attendee list, Jenny, so do you see any questions? Let's see if I can. Oh, there it is. I got it. Okay. Never mind. I got it. Sonia, I see you have your hand raised. I just unmuted you, Sonia. Are you there? Sonia, are you there? I've got your line unmuted. Okay, Sonia, I think you might have logged in on the computer because it's saying web behind your name. And so if you've got a question, you might want to go down to the question area and just type in your question, and I'll be glad to answer it. Let's see here. I'm going to try one more time because you put your hand back up. Yeah, Sonia, you're going to have to type in the question, Sonia, because you didn't put a PIN number in, and so I can't unmute your line. So if you'll go over, down below, almost to the bottom of the control panel, click the word questions, open it up, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Okay, I have a question from Kathy. How long does it take to study for the certification exam? If you could dedicate a month to 4 to 6 weeks, because you're going to read the study guide, you want to go back through it at least once or twice. What's beautiful about the certification program is it's practical application. I mean, this is the only certification program out there that is 2/3 best practices. So whether you're an account executive or a recruiter, 2/3 of this is training. What I just trained you on today is like 1 or 2% of what's in the study guide. So it really does give you, tremendous ideas on how to do the job a little bit better. But if you could dedicate 4 to 6 weeks from the time you sign up to the time you intend to take the exam, that's enough. You want to go through, one, you want to go through another, and, then read it more thoroughly. And by the way, any of you that have sat for level 1, you really should sign up for level 2, because level 2 really tests you. It's the same study materials, exact same study materials, but we give you case studies. And so the answers aren't like, it's not multiple choice. The answer is not there. We give you a case study. You got to know what best practice to apply, or what law to apply, or what industry practice to apply, and then you answer the question. So it really does test your knowledge. And so there's 2 different programs, and there's 2 levels at each program. So I'd really challenge any of you. And we're going to do level 2 training at the TSA conference, by the way, as well. So if any of you have taken level 1, you want to take level 2, we're going to do a prep class on level 2 at the conference. So, let us know that that's something that you want to do. Let's see here. What is the greatest competitive edge? I don't get it if I'm certified. When you stop and think of the people you place in jobs, when you're placing IT, engineering, a lot of the people you place in jobs have to have certain certifications. Your employers are asking you for, certain credentials that they want from the people that you place. It's getting no different with our profession. That when people are dealing with a recruiter, they want to know that you've made a commitment. They want to know, what you've done. And if you can say that I just attained the highest designation in my profession. If you want an accountant, you're going to look for a CPA. You want a dentist, you're going to look for a DDS. It's going to get to the point where when people want to hire an IT or engineering recruiter, they're going to ask for the CPSAE or the CPSR, because it's a credential that's showing you adhere to a code of ethics, that you have a base of knowledge of best practices, you understand employment law, and so it's just another credential that is really going to help you, in the future. Let's see, I see no more questions. Let me go and see if anybody raised their hand. We've got almost 25 minutes here. If anybody else has any questions, I mean, this is a way for you to get one-on-one consulting, or if you've got a deal going south, if there's something, your questions don't have to be about testimonials and a touch program. Anything that I can do to help you on your job. The reason I do these Lunch with Barb calls live is I became a trainer so you can make more money, so you can be more successful. So if you don't have any questions today, as you're working your desk, write down things that are happening to you, write down objections you can't overcome, write down scenarios that are driving you crazy, and bring them to these calls every month. because I'd be more than glad to, role play with you if you raise your hand or if you type in a question. I'm more than willing to work with all of you because, again, TSA, this is a value added to TSA members that they're doing these calls every month, and I want to make sure you get the most out of them. So please, if you, write down what's going on and bring the questions to these calls. I see no more questions at all, Jenny. I don't see anybody raising their hand, and I've got no more questions in the queue. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add? I think people are hungry to go to lunch, Jenny. I don't know.
Yeah, I think people must be starving today. So one thing I would like to add is that our next session is going to be consultative marketing presentation, and the program will address categories of clients, how to engage prospects, 5 consultative marketing presentations that work, and additional marketing tips. Our next session is going to be May 5th, 2016 at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Barb, it looks like you have one more question.
I just saw the question come through. Yeah, let me take this one. It's from Benjamin again. It's my concern with testimonials is that it's like it's planted. It's almost like we ask the client to give a testimonial and tell them what to write. What are your thoughts on that? I never tell people what to write, Benjamin, because I find that people write things that are really funny. I mean, they write things, everybody's got a reason why they use you. Everybody has their own reason, and if you give them what to say, number one, that probably makes them feel a little uncomfortable because you're kind of prepping them on what kind of testimonial you want. Just point blank ask people, why do you utilize my services? Why do you utilize me as opposed to anybody else out there? What am I doing different or better for you? Anything you'd write down would really, thrill me. And you'd be amazed at how much fun, they will have with this. And it's interesting because most of the testimonials I get are just you're fun to work with. Like, we never know what you're going to say next. You just make working fun. Even when I'm stressed out, I know the one best testimony I think I ever got was from a gentleman at Aon Corporation, and he said, when I have a problem, I just immediately view you as my solution. Like, the minute I call you, I don't worry because I know you're going to handle it, and I just wait for your call to come back and tell me who we're going to hire. And he said, so, don't put words in their mouth because you're right, then it does sound planted, and you don't want them to be, like standard. They're going to tell that you are writing it. There's another question from Richard. I send out over 100 emails a day, and I might get 10 responses. Is there a certain format that works better for initial email contacts? I'll tell you what, if you're getting a 10% response, that's not bad, Richard, because the last tech conference I went to, they said almost 80% of emails aren't even open. And that includes spam and junk, but most emails are not open. People are getting too many of them. And it is your subject line that compels people to open it. So the best tip I could give you is you have to have a compelling subject line. The other thing is if you're sending emails back and forth to a client or a candidate, have you ever been emailing a client and you've got like 15 emails back and forth and now you're trying to find one of them and you've got to read all 15 because you're trying to find the one you want? When you resend an email, always change the subject line. So, don't have it forward, have the same subject line. Change the email to reflect what the content of your email is. Number one, the client's going to have an easier. My clients love this. They say, we just love that you do this. Or if I'm on a candidate, I'll put the candidate's name in the subject line. Feedback, update, and put the person's name because then it makes it searchable in your email system anyway. But the biggest thing is the subject line. And then change the subject line every time. And if you response to your email of such and such. People read the subject line and they determine if they're going to open it or delete it. And half the time they don't open it. So, the fact that you're getting a 10% response isn't bad, but you would greatly improve that if, in fact, you had compelling subject lines. Okay, let me see if anybody else raised their hand, Jenny, because I know those 2 questions came in late. Let's see. No hands raised. So I guess that's it, Jenny. So everybody, it's been a pleasure, addressing you today. And please join our next webinar. The marketing training that we're doing next time is going to be very good for any of you that have interaction with clients. And, again, make sure that you also get those topics in Speaker to TechServe Alliance. Not many associations reach out to their members and ask them what they want. I don't know why they don't, but they don't. TechServe does that. So this is your chance to kind of customize and create your convention. I mean, I think that's awesome. So, Jenny, I'm going to turn the floor back over to you.
All right, great. Thanks, Barb. We will be sending out the presentation following this, Martha, just so you know. And then, Barb, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of TechServe Alliance and everyone attending. We really appreciate you holding these consulting periods every month, and I know it makes a big difference around here.
We've got one more question, and he came in late, but Jeff, I want your questions answered. So Jeff's asking me what subject lines work best. When you're thinking of a subject line, what would be compelling? The other person has to see what's in it for them to open your email. So subject lines that work best are subject lines that address the what's in for me of the person you're sending it to. So if you put down need your feedback, looking for a status report, looking for an update, they're never going to open that. But if you put down additional information that would benefit you, additional information I had to share, they have to see what's in it for them to open it, or it's a topic that is hot, whether it's, negotiate the best salary or retention in the case of clients, or figure out what's hot with them, what is going to compel them to open it. So it can't be, it's not about you, it's about them. So the subject lines have to answer that what's in it for me of the person you're sending the email to. Those are the best subject lines. So Jeff, thanks for jumping in late because we want to make sure all your questions are answered. So I think that's it, Jenny. I think we're done.
Yeah, I think so. Again, thank you, Barb, for all of your great advice. And everyone, as I mentioned, we will be sending out an email with today's slides and the link to today's presentation, along with a link to the certification webpage. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
All right. Thanks, Jenny. Bye, everybody.